How's everybody doing tonight? I hope everybody's well. I'd like to say thank you to all the subscribers. I really appreciate that. I'd love to keep this channel going. We can do a lot of back and forth conversations and a lot of security talk on how we can make ourselves safe. And we're going to talk a lot about self-defense. We'll talk a lot about how to make plans for that. And we'll do some laws. And I would like to start reviewing a few of these videos that are questionable, that could put us in jeopardy. So the one thing we got to do is keep ourselves out of jail by knowing what to do to protect ourselves. But again, thank you for everybody who subscribed. Please, if you're new here, subscribe and hit like. We can keep this going. I want to cover a couple things. One thing is, I know I have a mic coming. The last one was a little bit muffled. My mic kind of is giving out, but somebody asked me if I knew what a camera was. I do, but to let you know, I'm keeping this real. I'm not into big productions. I don't even edit. I just say how it is. I'll research something, and if somebody asks me a question, I'll look into it and try to find out what the answer to it is if I don't know, which I don't know everything, and I'll never claim to. But one of the things that's been bothering me a little bit, and I've noticed it's getting out in the news, and a lot of people are making comments, but they're really blaming this young lady who survived these attacks, or I wouldn't say survived, that she was unharmed during these attacks. But they refer to her as DM. She is a 20-year-old kid living in a small town in northern Idaho who parties and who would never in her second thoughts think that there was going to be a mass killing in the place that she lives. So, of course, she's not going to notice things. And there's a young lady that's been coming on the news recently from 1992 in Buffalo, New York. She was lived in a sorority. Zabel is her last name, I believe. She lived in a 3-story house at the University of Buffalo. She had other sorority sisters there. When she went inside the residence this one evening, she knew there was a smell. She had already walked through the room where this young lady was, and she noticed a smell. And when she came back out, she said it was overpowered by a smell. At that point, she said she hadn't noticed any blood and assumed the victim had choked to death on her own vomit. She called paramedics. They got there, and when they started talking about it and all the blood in the room, that's when her mind opened back up and started seeing the blood. She walked through it. She had seen the blood before, but her brain didn't connect, and she didn't see it. It was there. So it's something in your brain. It's a survival thing that happens in our heads. It's something that we all have. Now, anybody who is going off on this young lady or making comments about her, I would like to know what your training is and what you have done to prepare yourself for an extremely critical incident like this, for an extreme critical incident. What have you done to prepare yourself? You might be more prepared. What's your age? She's 20. What's your upbringing? What do you have to make a judgment on somebody that you don't know what her upbringing was? You don't know what her life is like. I'm just looking at it as a 20-year-old college girl who's living in northern Idaho in a small town, going to school, and the furthest reaches of her mind, she would never have even thought that 4 of her roommates would be murdered. And she would see a suspect walking by. And yeah, went back to bed. This young lady in Buffalo, New York, or in the University of Buffalo back in 1992, didn't see any blood. None. And her friend had been brutally beaten and raped. And she didn't see it. It's a stressful thing, and people's brains act differently. I can guarantee you that when you're involved in a critical incident, you don't know how you're going to act until you've been involved in it. I can tell you firsthand. I saw police officers on how they acted in certain situations, and I'm not talking on the news. I'm standing right next to them. So let's lay off. Please. Everybody has a right to say whatever they want to say. I will never tell anybody that they can't talk. That's our First Amendment rights, and Constitution is something I truly believe in. So let's focus more on the suspect. And again, his name will never be mentioned on this channel. No criminal's name will be mentioned on this channel. It'll be suspect, it'll be inmate, It'll be whatever it is, but it will not be their names. I'm not giving them that credit. The victims, I will give them the credit all day long, but I will not give them the credit. And this suspect, there's enough evidence. I've also seen the comments on there about evidence that Moscow PD just has very little evidence. But they got enough evidence. They got a nationwide arrest warrant. They were able to get in phone records. They were able to get into the homes, the cars. They have DNA evidence. They have a witness. Yeah, bushy eyebrows. But you know what that did? You have to look at the totality of the circumstances. You look at everything. We don't look at, say, bushy eyebrows. Well, he's going to get off because that's all they have. That's the only eyewitness they have, bushy eyebrows. Lots of people have those. But now let's start putting phone and car and other things involved. DNA on the scene, possible footprint that will match a shoe. There's so many things that you have to bring it all together to create a book. Who here can open a book up, read one chapter or one paragraph of that book and tell you what the entire book is about? You can't. You got to read the whole thing to get the final word, the beginning to the end, to know exactly what everything means. So same with criminal cases. You've got to really look at everything brought in. And again, it's not on the defense. It's on the prosecution. It's up to them to prosecute this case. They have to prove his guilt. He has to prove his innocence. So let's look at this from a different angle. Let's not focus on the other two survivors or the other two people who lived in that room, in that house. They've been cleared. They've been investigated and they've been cleared. Everything is done with them. Let's move on. Let's focus on this suspect. Let's focus on the evidence. He doesn't go to court again until the 12th. So let's see what's going to happen. The investigation doesn't stop just because somebody was arrested and put in court or put in jail. Investigation doesn't stop. First appearance in court, investigation doesn't stop. It continues. They will gather evidence as much as they possibly can throughout this case. All they have to do is once they find evidence is just show it and enter it. And the defense has a right to it, so they can look at it also. And that's the good thing about this is everybody has an equal chance. Okay, and if this suspect turns out to be innocent or whatever happens, we can go from there. But for right now, let's not focus so much on these other two. Let's focus on this suspect. Let's focus on the evidence at hand. Everything, not just one little bit, bits and pieces of the puzzle. Even if you look at it and say, well, I see it's just circumstantial with 5 or 6 different things. Yeah, but 10 or 12 different things. Now 15, 20 different things. It all starts adding up and solidifying it. It's the old analogy of making a dish when you're cooking. Every little thing matters. Every little thing that gets put into this matters. So let's look at that. Now, there are some other questions asked, like sliding glass doors. And they mentioned that he had headed towards the sliding glass doors. I've had a couple people ask that. And what we do when we look at homes to secure their homes, somebody asks, how do I secure my sliding glass door? Well, everybody says put a dowel in it. Yes, please do. Most of those locks on those doors are garbage. If you hit it just right off the outside, it'll actually flip that little lever that locks. So lock it. Even though it's not the greatest lock in the world, lock it. Put a dowel in the track. But the other thing that nobody thinks about, and you know how weak these things are, those window carriers, or even a simple pry bar, a flat edge pry bar. You can slide in the bottom rail and you can lift that door up and push it in at the bottom. It'll open it right up. You can get in your house in 5 minutes, even with a dowel in there. The window carriers, glass carriers, whatever it is, they got the handles on them. They got the suction cups. You can put 2 of them on there, lift it up and push that in, and the bottom's going to pop right in. And it doesn't make much noise and it doesn't take much time. How do you beat that? When I talk to a lot of people in their homes about this, they just stare at me like I have nothing safe. The top rail, you put screws about every 8 to 10 inches or so. You put it on one side of the track and you screw the screws in through the top rail just far enough, drop them down just far enough that when you're sliding the door, it doesn't touch. This door slides right underneath them. Then when they try to lift it, those screws are going to prevent it. You cannot lift that door. They're going to have to shatter that door to get into it. And other things, if you're worried about your glass breaking, you can get some of that protective film that goes over it. There's a lot of things going around where they're saying that we have bulletproof film. Well, there's no bulletproof film. Bullets will go through it. All it's going to do is just the window won't shatter. So you can put that type of a cover over top the glass. So if it is broke or hit, it doesn't just shatter so easily. They have to really break it out. And hopefully by that time, if you are home, you've heard all that noise and you can react with your defense plan. You can either, number one, secure yourself in a hard room, or you can go on the offensive. I don't recommend that. I recommend letting somebody who did break in your home, you let them know, I've got a gun, I've called 911. You don't have to let people know you have a gun, but I would advise it. And the other thing I'd advise is putting cameras inside your house. I've mentioned this on another video, is putting cameras inside the house, just facing every one of your entrances. So that way if somebody is in your home, you have it recorded. And that way they'll hear you. They're going to hear you say, I've got a gun, I've called 911. You've warned the person to go away. If they've shattered your door or kicked your door in, their intentions aren't just burglary. That's just not their basic intention. A burglary is a quiet thing. It's somebody who's going to break in, try to steal some easy stuff and get out. They don't want to make noise. If somebody kicks your door in, there's other reasons they want to get in that house. There's something they're after. If it's to overwhelm you with more than one person breaking in your home so they can take all your medications and money, whatever it is. We used to call them kick robberies. They kick your door, come in your house, tie you up, wait, beat on you if they felt like at the time, and just take everything. So make sure when you're at home, you have an alarm system, set it while you're in the house. If you're at home, lock your doors. Make sure your windows are all locked. Do a double check on everything. The big one is going through the door from the garage. A lot of people, they lock their outside garage door. It's just a basic door. And I guarantee they don't even look at the plates like we talked about earlier and securing those with a deadbolt. And then they just don't lock the door coming from the garage to the house. They figure that one door is good enough. Well, why not make it harder for anybody to get in your home? Lock that door, lock the door into your house, and check all your windows and doors. Check everything. Make sure everything's locked up. Get cameras inside your residence. Get motion lights, but don't hook them up to your electrical system. Have solar lights, because that way if your power goes out, you still have access to light. So when it came to these people, we mentioned home security and home safety. You expect to be safe in your home. And somebody mentioned, well, these young people were home. It should have been a safe place for them to be. It wasn't. They didn't make it safe. The days of assumptions are over. We can't assume that the world is a good place all the time. I would say, and I'm a cynic, but I would say at least 90% of the people in this world are amazing, awesome people. And I have traveled to almost every state in this country. I've been to several different countries. And I would say over 90% of the people in this world are just amazing, awesome, great people. You got those few that just, they have to be the trouble. They have to it's frustrating. Let's not give them attention. Just like me not giving this individual's name on this channel, I won't do it. So let's stop giving them information. Let's stop fighting amongst ourselves. None of us are involved in this investigation. I'm giving information from stuff that I know, and I don't know everything. I'm going off of what I read. I'm going off what I hear. I just give you the information on why a process is the way it is, what we do during that process, and I'll answer a few of your questions if I can catch up on them. So we aren't involved in the investigation. So how can we sit back and say, well, this is the way it's going to go. This is the way it is. Or this person is a suspect, this person isn't. If you haven't conducted the interviews, you haven't conducted the video canvas or the canvassing of the neighborhood by getting statements and catching video of everything you've got, if you don't have the phone records, you don't have the DNA evidence, you don't have every bit of evidence brought to us, you don't have that, because not everything's given to the media, which I think is a great thing, because the media sometimes, they twist things, or they don't get the whole story out, and that hurts a case. And it gets like people like here, we've got people who are talking and saying, Moscow PD screwed up. They don't have enough evidence. It's all circumstantial. This guy's going to walk, and that young lady had something to do with her. That young lady's at fault. Well, she's not. She's not. She's a 20-year-old kid. She's going to live with this the rest of her life. And with people doing what they're doing, and she starts reading this stuff, because I can tell you right now, social media is the worst thing you can get on after a critical incident. If she gets on here and she starts reading some of the comments made about her, what is that going to do to her? Seriously, folks, come on. Let's think. let's be good about this. Let's be good to each other. Let's not rip on each other. Let's think about this. I learned, and one thing I want to clarify is I made a mistake, and I told these guys, I answered their comment. I made a mistake. Michigan, Ohio are not duty to retreat states. Ohio used to be, I believe, until 2020, but also all of them. There's 13 states left that are duty to retreat, except in your home. If you're in your home, you don't have to leave your home. But duty to retreat means you have to leave. If you have an avenue of escape during a critical incident, you have to take it. If you stand your ground in these 13 states, then you can be held liable for it. And Michigan is not one. I misspoke. I thought it was, and that's my fault. So I'm sorry about that. So hopefully I didn't offend anyone, and we corrected that. But if you do travel, no matter where you go, look at the laws. There are several websites out there. USCCA puts one out that you can look at the map of the country, and you can see the reciprocity of whatever permit you have, and it will break down the laws of the states you're going to travel through. And so watch yourself. If you travel to other states, you get involved in a critical incident, know the laws there. That's the only way you can protect yourself, is by knowing the law first. Then you can start developing a plan. These young individuals, they're college students. They weren't thinking about this. It wasn't very secure. I also saw a young lady make a comment. I'm not sure who she was, but she made a comment that the police did not give them enough information to tell them if it was safe or not in their neighborhoods. Well, we can't rely on other people to make the decisions for us. We have to look at this and say 4 people were murdered. The police have nobody in custody, no suspects at the time. Yeah, I'm still in danger. I don't care if the police say, no, you're safe. I'm still going to consider myself at a higher level of danger. I'm going to look at the color code of awareness, and I'm going from my orange to orange-red. I'm going up there. Every time I go out, I'm prepared. At night, I lock my doors. I'm more vigilant. I have a firearm with me. I got my alarm set. I got my locks done. Everything's done. I'm going to up my game until we have a suspect in custody that we know is the individual. Don't wait for police to tell you if it's safe or not. Automatically make that assumption. I know I said what assumptions are, what they make it out of you and I, but we also have to look at it as, I'm not waiting for the government or any agency to tell me I'm safe or I'm not safe. That's up to me. That's my decision. And with your college students, if they're going to University of Idaho and they're up there right now, yeah, they got a 90% chance they're safe. They're fine. But I would still up their game. I would still make them secure their residence. Don't play those games anymore. You know, if you're going out drinking, always have a buddy. Always have somebody watching your back. Even at home, you have to have a sober buddy. So just be safe. It's easy and it's hard at the same time. A lot of our freedoms are taken away from us, that we take away from ourselves because we're trying to be safe. So nobody's taking our freedoms from us. We're taking our own freedoms by saying, okay, I can't do this and I can't do that and I can't do this because I'm trying to be safe. And I'm sorry, but if I take my own freedoms, that's my choice. I can do that. Okay? But I know my end game is to be safe and make sure my family is safe. So I'm going to leave it at that. Please subscribe and like. We can keep this channel going. I've got a plan for a buddy of mine to come in. It was a call that I was on a long time ago, and it's a pretty heartfelt story we have. He's an amazing guy, and we're going to bring that out and we're going to talk about it for a little bit, and then I want to start talking about some of these shootings and some of these self-defense cases that's been going on, because I don't want to see any of you go to court or go to jail because of something that may have been avoided that we can talk about on here. So let me know if there's anything you want to talk about. If you want to make comments, it's okay. I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to argue back. If I made a mistake, I will correct myself, and I appreciate that. If you catch me with something, I will correct myself. If you find something that needs to be, restated or didn't sound right, I'll research it, look at, or you can tell me what yours is, and I'll research yours, and we'll see what goes on with that, and we can fix that too. So for the guy who said, do I know what a camera is? I do. But for right now, this is working. I got a mic coming in, so it's not so muffled. Hopefully tonight I'm speaking up a little bit more. I do have my seminar tomorrow night, so I'm trying to save a little bit there. But sorry for making this so long, but let's stay safe out there. Let's stay vigilant. And let's focus on what's at hand. Let's focus on the suspect, the case, and the evidence they have. And come the 12th, we'll see what's going to happen from there. And then we can go each step of the court case. So stay safe, stay vigilant. Have a great night. Thank you again.